Number one, know what you want. A lot of people say, I want to grow my business, but that has no clarity, it has no power, because it has no formal definition. And what I'm really suggesting is you don't just, you describe your business in advance of getting there. You describe the profits, the sales, the amount of turnover you're doing, the amount of staff you've got, where you're working, how many locations. But even go deeper than that. Describe your conversion rate. Describe the amount of leads you're generating. Describe your average dollar sale. Describe your frequency of transaction. And describe your margin. So clear, you can actually see it in advance of it actually becoming a reality. Absolutely crystal clear. Once you've done that, the next step is take massive amounts of action. See, this is the challenge. We rely on too little to give us too much. The too little doesn't work. We get disappointed. That disappointment becomes despair. What I'm suggesting, and all that I can really suggest out of all the experience that I've had, is that take enormous amounts of action. Now, I could give any one of the listeners here right now 282 different strategies to build their business from a sales and marketing perspective. So when a listener says, we've tried everything, Tony, you really haven't. So I would be taking massive amounts of action. And of course, I would be doing the low-cost ones first. Mm-hmm. Number 3, really important. As soon as you've activated something, sit back and review it. Ask yourself the profound question, Michael, is it working? And be really open, because sometimes as a business owner, we've noticed the greatest challenge is our own ego. Because it's our idea, it has to work. Now, what I'm suggesting is review it, okay, and really inspect what are we getting from this. No, don't just work, oh, that looks nice. Is it getting a result?
Step number 4.
There's an old saying, Michael, if a horse is dead, dismount.
Right.
You know what I'm talking about? If something's not working in business and you've measured it and you've implemented it correctly, for goodness sake, stop doing it. And a lot of businesses get so caught up in we've always done it this way. The key question is, what result are you getting from doing it that way? That's the next one.
Okay, so it works.
Now, it works. First thing I'd be doing is I'd be celebrating. When something works, give yourself the reward. We've got to anchor achievement equals reward. We've got to have fun. We've got to celebrate the victories, no matter how small. Then what I would be doing, as soon as I've celebrated, I would continue doing it. You've just cracked the code. Now, a lot of organisations, they get really bored. And after a while, they start changing things that never have to be changed because they've always worked. And the customer is not bored with it because it's still working. You know who's bored with it? The employees. They're saying, oh, we're bored by doing this strategy. Let's try something new. Really, if something is continuing to work, you continue to do it until it stops working. Then what I would do next, the next thing I would do is I would systemise what you've just celebrated. Because what you've done is you just cracked the code. Now, you would be insane to tear up that password you've just created and throw it away. You would actually write it down. That's what systemisation is. So you've just cracked the code. You're saying, okay, now we're going to systemise it. And then the last step is you train others on how to do it.
Okay, number 6.
Success leaves seeds. If you want to get somewhere really, really quickly, Michael, just hang around people already there. Now, I learnt this in the Harvey Norman model. I'm going to share with you a little bit of an inside secret to our success in computers. It had very little to do with us. Back in 1994, when Harvey Norman was called Harvey Norman Discounts, we had a huge problem. We were a New South Wales-based retailer. We were actually selling computers Maybe you remember Commodore 64s. I don't know if you remember that far
Yeah,
ago.
very much
and
so.
Commodore VIC-20s. We had basically stores in New South Wales and we had 2 stores in Queensland. Now, our problem is we were franchised. So we had a computer franchise, we had an electrical franchise, we had a furniture franchise. Okay, and the problem we had, Michael, is that if you wanted to buy a computer back then, you had to walk through toasters and vacuum cleaners. Now, this wasn't a great environment to try to tap into the very lucrative small business marketplace. So what happened, Michael, was quite extraordinary. One of our suppliers, who happened to be our largest supplier, rang us up one day and said, "Tony, you've got to go to the States." And I said, "Why do we have to go to the States?" Now, they didn't want us to go and see a factory. They said, "You've got to get on a plane, you've got to go to Los Angeles, you've got to go to Orange County, because there is a new retail model that has just been developed and it's taking the American market by storm." You know what it was called? Superstores. So we, as very young 31-year-olds, jumped on a plane, travelled 14 hours to get to Los Angeles, hired a car, drove south for an hour and a half to a region called Orange County. We jumped in our cars and we saw these most magnificent superstores. There was Best Buy, there was Computer City, there was Circuit City, there was Fry's. But then we found it, Michael. It was called Comp USA. It was magnificent. Now, this is what we did. We tried to take photographs. The first 2 stores that we tried to take photographs out of, we got chased out into the car park. Because this is quite very secretive. This had just been launched. Everyone was talking about it. So we went back to our hotel rooms and we decided to change our strategy because it wasn't working. We dressed down. We put jeans. We put flannelette shirts on. We went to the next store, and instead of actually trying to take photographs, we actually went to the store manager, who was about 31 years old, and we said, "We're from Australia. We just want to congratulate you on one of the best looking computer stores that we've seen in the world." He loved it. He absolutely loved it. And we said to him, "Michael,
Can we take some
do you
pictures?
mind if we just ask you a couple of questions?" We were there for 4 hours. We took 27 pages of notes. We said to him, "Do you mind if we take some photographs?" He said, "Tony, don't worry about it. I'll get my team to take it." Now, this is Harvey Norman's success, because I want to redefine a principle here. We get back on the plane. We travel back to Sydney. The Monday we arrive back, we call in the Harvey Norman builder, and we say to Noel Sullivan, who was the builder, "Build this." It was extraordinary. We opened up the first store in Bennett's Green in Newcastle, the second in Auburn. We opened up 32 superstores in the space of 1 year. And within the space of 2 years, Harvey Norman in computers in retail had 78% market share. What did we do? We fundamentally modelled what others had already done. We understood it, we refined it, we developed it, and we launched it.